La lawyer, you are witches. And I need to stop speaking so many of my languages, so much of my language. To lawyer is to bewitch. It's going to be really hard to stop speaking my languages. I don't even know why I should, but I don't want to transcribe too much. You are witches, so I don't want to translate too much. You're witches. So because Africa, you're witches, even those among you that are largely innocent, you're still not innocent because you are witches. And your Christianity leaves a lot to be desired. It's not the real deal. Your land could be so much better. Yet it isn't, because I guess la lawyer, right? You're just like, you're really witchy. So because Africa is as witchy as it is, and because you are so stubborn to receive the truth of God, it's going to take a minute for y'all to finally exploit the power of your nations to bring forth fruit for you and everyone around. Until such time that you turn your faces over to God and your government stop being corrupt, you won't clean your streets and you won't stop urinating there either. And for as long as that's a thing, I'm sorry, right? Like, I think after 11 years going on 12 years of suffering, I deserve to live in a clean country that is so safe that I can leave my phone at a restaurant and come back 20 minutes later and it's still there. I deserve to live in a high trust society, because am I not highly trustworthy? I've proven that I am. But I live amidst a countrymen that easily steal, easily kill, and easily destroy. They easily just take. They easily squander and plunder. I deserve to live in a society where grocery stores can be open at midnight and you pay with some card after walking in there taking your goods, and there is no clerk at the teller, at the telling point, because they trust that you're going to take your yogurt and pay for it and go. You're not just going to leave with the yogurt. I deserve to live in a country like that. And Korea is like that. I deserve to live in a country that's almost like heaven. And you know what? That's the reason why. I just don't want to go to America anymore. I've been studying America for years because God showed me I'm going to move over there. But once God showed me South Korea and I started to research it, I was like, why would I want to go to the US when I can go to Korea? That's why I don't want to go to America. I just don't want to go. There's nothing for me there, guys. Mass shootings, instability, fragmentation in the government, untidy immigration, violence, no school uniform in schools. I will never get used to that. I will never see any value in that. I found out the other day that 90% of countries in the world wear school uniform. So why do American schools not have uniform? It's just, it leaves so much room for anarchy, and that's why kids over there are causing teachers to quit their jobs. So I just don't want to go to a school, not a school, but a country. I don't want to move to a nation where when you drive through the city center on any given weekday, you don't see a whole bunch of kids in school uniform. I just can't live in a country that doesn't have that. There is something about school uniform that makes the country beautiful. There's a discipline that automatically just courses through the veins of a nation when their kids have to, in the morning, wear one particular outfit. Anything else is illegal. Well, illegal is a very strong word, but it's outlawed. It's disallowed. It's disallowed. And Asian countries like South Africa, they wear uniform. They wear uniform most countries in the world. I don't know why America doesn't wear them. And I feel like it's one of the biggest reasons why there's so much disrespect of authority in the country, and also of teachers in schools. Never mind by kids, but just what they finally grow up to be as adults. I feel like that's why there's just so much wretchedness. There are uniforms in Africa. We get it. Here there's a lot of witchcraft going on. The people in my country will not disrespect you in your face outright and just have no regard for what you're saying or doing. But they will sabotage you. They will be, what I'm getting at is, have enough regard for public opinion to outwardly put a facade of being good with you while they stab you secretly in the back. That's why people caught me off guard so much in my country. In the US, from what I see, of course, you know, we can't be out here judging a nation unless you land your feet down on some tarmac. But in the US, it's almost like people are just rude. Not people, but kids. And maybe people, but at this point, kids. I'm speaking about American kids. I feel like they're not as respectful as kids in other countries, and a nation is built on the foundation of children, and all these mass shootings in their schools. It is a trend that is just skyrocketing and increasing and inclining, in particular in America. All these violent kids in schools. First, put uniform on them. Instill discipline after that. And stop letting them choose their own genders, their own whatever. It's like, stop teaching crazy curriculums. And then maybe your country might recover. There might be some kids who might revolt for wearing school uniform, but you can phase it. You can phase it in. You can't take high school students and suddenly make them wear uniform. Neither can you take primary school students that are already established in wearing school uniform and make them wear uniform. And wearing home clothes, civvies, and then make them wear uniform, but you can phase it in. You can start them at grade naught, at kindergarten, and say that going forward, all kindergarten children, all kindergarten age kids entering into the public schooling system in America are going to start wearing uniforms. These kindergarten children are not going to complain. And I'm telling you right now, even their parents won't complain, because it's a lot of money to buy clothes for kids. It's expensive to just make sure that they're up to par with keeping trends with other students in the school. It's going to save you a lot more money, a lot more money as parents And it's going to also help you, what do you call it? And it's also going to enable you to buy your children better gifts when then they need gifts, and they're going to be able to dress better when they can, like on weekends. Then they can get to show what they got. You know, it's like delayed gratification. They'll be rewarded by wearing civvies on the weekends. When they get home already, they're in tracksuits, so they're not out there, so they don't have to show anybody anything of their swagger at home when they come back home from school, and nobody has to compete with fashion, and so the bullying will also decrease if they wear uniform, because nobody is out here teasing a child for wearing cheap shoes or fake Nikes or whatever. If they all wear a bacania shoe, well, I mean, in South Africa we call them the bacania, but I guess in the US they might call them something else. But if they just wear like a whatever brown shoe, a black shoe with, like, you know, y'all gonna have to put some kiwi polish in your stores. Nobody's gonna tease them for, I mean, what brand is your shoe? It's not gonna be that level of crazy. And then take out all the dye out of their hair and say that, girls, your hair is your color that you're born with. Red, brunette, black, blonde. You don't get to come to school with pink hair. Get rid of hair, different weird colors of hair in school. Get rid of makeup in school and make kids wear uniform. And it will, I believe, like instantly correct the country. It'll fix it. And I don't, like I said, I don't think parents would complain, because why would parents complain about saving clothes money for kids during the week? Your cost of living is ridiculous already in America. Your dollar, like, nothing compares to it, right? So everything is expensive over there. I mean, it's gonna save you a handsome penny if at all your kids wear school uniform Monday to Friday. It's set CI. Spoil them with Nikes on the weekend. And in the schooling system of South Africa, we got to wear civvies once a year, maybe 2 times a year, and it was an exciting time to show what we got. Yeah, that's when you can then spoil your child to some Jordan sneakers or whatever. Spoil your kid to Jordan sneakers or whatever to show them off at school on that particular day. But other time, I guess, however, that's the only time that you're going to be buying those expensive sneakers, and they're going to have to just really take care of them for the year, because they're not going to get another pair until Christmas or the following year. You can discipline your kids better when they're wearing uniform, and they're going to stop being disrespectful to teachers. They must wear uniform from the time they're in kindergarten, and it can be phased in. And like I said, I don't even believe parents would complain. It can be phased in. Start them very little so they don't complain. Such that all the kids that are leaving the primary school or the elementary school, the kids that are leaving the school will look at these little children wearing uniforms and be like, they look so weird, they look so funny. But they go to high school, and they finish out their high school wearing civvies. But the kids that are growing up all are wearing uniform. That's how you're not going to get a riot. That's not how you're not going to get a revolt. That's how the kids that already wear civvies are not going to complain. Take makeup out of schools. Take loopy, big, chunky earrings out of schools. Take, like I said, makeup, loopy earrings must leave schools. And hair accessories that are not the same color as school CI, like white, black, navy, whatever your school colors are, green. They can't be put on hair. So if your school uniform's color is navy blue, you can't wear a red, what do you call this? Like a red scrunchie on your hair. It has to be either a white, black, or navy blue scrunchie, or green if your school colors are green. If you teach kids that kind of discipline, I think it'll slowly recover the country to like reduced mass shootings in schools. I feel like it's just going to significantly reduce it, and then eviscerate the curriculum in the country that is teaching kids about gender politics. They don't need to know. Teach them 1 + 1 = 2. A, B, C, D, and E. And teach them the animals in the animal kingdom. There are rhinos, there are zebras, there are sharks in the ocean. Teach them the periodic table that they might learn chemistry. And stop teaching kids that there are more than one genders. Let them make all those decisions later on in life. If at all you struggle to address gender politics with children, then don't have guidance in schools. They don't need it. They don't need life orientation. They don't need that subject. Frankly, in school, we got life orientation as a free lesson within which to waste time. So if you just don't want to, you don't know what to do with yourselves pertaining gender politics, and you don't want to annoy governors that are mentally ill of the country, of the state that you're living in, just don't teach it. Like, listen, just get rid of that subject altogether if you cannot handle it with tact. But you can't be teaching children that you get to choose your own gender. No. Let these kids grow. There was a season when I was in high school when I thought I was a tomboy, and I thought that I wanted to wear boys' clothes. But then the movie Clueless came on the scene, and I decided that I'm a girl all over again. When a child is in that confused state, you can't be teaching them gender politics. Unless you want to keep life orientation about keeping children away from depression, from stress, from bullying, and you now make it about gender politics, then get rid of the subject altogether. This TEFL course that I'm doing, in there, they were out talking about pronouns and how you need to be sensitive about that. And I'm like, listen, not in Korea, not in China, not in Japan. Because there are some countries that are not trying to humor all that trash. And America has humored it, and that's why a country falls apart. So what am I trying to get at right now is a country falls because it hates foreigners. A country falls because it allows infiltration by foreign entities against their own national identity. And a country falls because they don't take care of their own citizens. South Africa doesn't take care of me. It's falling. South Africa hates foreigners. It's falling. And South Africa has embraced cultures of all different kinds of woke cultures. Communism from China. It's taken everybody else's identity, politics, except their own. And so it's falling. Nobody knows whether or not South Africa is woke or conservative because its allies are conservative, while its politics are liberal. Gay people can marry in this country, and however, they hate immigrants. So it's conservative that way because it tends to be leftist kind of conservative politics that feel like, let everybody come in and do what they want to do and sit around and twirl on a chair and just hang out. And sit still from everywhere. Just give them all visas, not visas, but give them all green cards, give them all whatever. Like, it tends to be liberal politics that just lets foreigners do what they want to do in a country. And South Africa has got, they initially started out just kind of liberally letting people come in. And now the citizens on the ground are crying, like losing their voices, saying they must go. Because our politicians had that liberal mindset about foreigners. But people on the ground were like, you're taking our jobs. And yes, indeed, they are taking our jobs, but a lot of times it's because you're not as hardworking as them, and the rates that our country is paying them are lower than you, so they're cheaper labor and for better outputs. And then on top of that, it's the fact that you won't work the same jobs that they're prepared to do. And so they've got better lifestyles than you. They're willing to work what South Africans call sometimes dumb jobs, but it is you working really hard in these dumb jobs that sometimes gets you seen by the right person so you can finally get out of a dumb job. So what do you call this? That entitled mindset of South Africans has made foreigners have better work opportunities, and now you can't stand them. And because they're busy having their children in the country, while mom and dad are perhaps, I don't know, give me a country from somewhere in Africa. Mom and dad are both Angolan, but their child is South African because the child was born here. The kid, upon attending a primary school in South Africa, while a South African mom did not get a slot in the same primary school for their child, will bully, harass this here kid that belongs to the foreigners, even though the child is a South African citizen. This child will face just being kicked out of the school because they belong to parents that are foreign. And these parents were proactive fast enough to get a slot for their child before the late applicant South African parent applied for a child in the same school. So there's now riots outside of primary schools, maybe even high schools, of government schools for their children because they all don't want to have to pay ridiculous fees in order to take their children to school. And the South African government subsidizes public education, public studying, public schooling. So therefore, the majority of citizens can only afford public schooling. And it used to not be bad, but now, like I said, it's losing steam. It has lost steam. So it was okay for your child to go through the public schooling system, but not anymore. There are a lot of issues, inefficiencies. You're destroying your country from inside. You're dumbing down your country by this weird low 30% pass mark. Nobody knows what it is. And on top of that, what do you call this? Like I said, you are unreasonably hateful of foreigners, but also some of the things that are problematic where South Africans are concerned as well. They would not be as xenophobic against foreigners if the South African government actually took care of South Africans too. So it's a catch-22. South Africans are violent against foreigners because they're taking all the jobs, and now they are hungrier than foreigners in the country. But the only reason why South Africans are even hungry at all with this ridiculous unemployment rate is because our government is corrupt, and it is disenfranchising black people in particular. Indians will always have generational wealth. White people will always have generational wealth. Let's kind of make it work. We are the ones that are in the grandest majority of unemployment in the country. And when people are hungry long enough, they start to riot and complain, and who do they take it out on? They take it out on the first people that they can, and unfortunately, amidst the first people that they can take it out on are foreigners. But you see, how then can you explain what's going on with me? I'm not a foreigner. I'm born and bred here, and I am ancestrally native to South Africa. My people go away a long back in this very nation. How is South Africa spitting me out like I ain't jack? That's where competence also comes in. South Africans are so defeatist and sometimes are so lazy that good people among them suffocate. That's why there is a skills exodus out of the country, and that's why so many South Africans are, like I said, in the diaspora. With that skills exodus, there was a skills bleed, and that is why, in spite of the skills bleed and them complaining that there was a skills bleed, nonetheless are letting people with 1, 2, 3 year gaps in their CV get 4, 5 year gaps in their CV because they are not moving from one job to another smoothly. And so recruitment agents are ignoring them, and then there's the white recruitment agents that refuse to empower black, especially youth. And if at all, as a black person, you've got a gap in your CV, a white recruitment agent will keep you unemployed. If at all, they've got the agenda I highlighted above. So you're now getting perfectly skilled professionals that are unable to be the skills exodus in the diaspora, that aren't, however, getting work, and that are getting bigger and bigger gaps in their CVs because no one is trying to hire them, given that they've been sitting at home for 3 years. Even though they're qualified and they've got skills, They have not rusted. Anybody can repolish whatever it is that might have been a loss of time. If at all they get a new job. Anybody. People are adaptable. Do you understand what I'm saying? So to basically pretend that an IT professional is no longer usable with their degree because they've been unemployed for 2 years or 3, what are you talking about? Just give this person 2 weeks of reorientation and throw them on the floor to hit the ground running and see if they don't swim in spite of last time they saw something like this was 3 years ago. They will make it work. People are able to start running even though you threw them on the floor crawling because we are adaptable. We're able to recover our losses and quickly. So you are basically underestimating South Africans by claiming that if you have a 3-year gap in your CV, you're frankly lost to the world. You're lost to the ether forever. For what? That's insanity over there. So you're losing skilled professionals who have amassed for themselves work experience. Look at me. I was a whole thriving what back in the day. I've got training experience. I've got financial services industry experience. I've got customer service experience. I've got project and program management experience. I've got consulting experience. And you are grabbing a person with these skills and you're like, you're rusted. Okay, listen, you know what? That's why transhumanism does a thing eventually in the future. Because you are to be calling human beings rusty. People made in the image of God that are trying to work by the sweat of their brow. But how in the world did I even lose a career? Sabotage. Why? Because this here human asset that used to be an invaluable part of an organization once upon a time was ripped out of a career by excruciatingly competitive South Africans that feel like I'm the only one that gets to work. I'm the only one that's going to be a senior manager. I'm the only one that's going to be a general manager. Karabo, you're so good that I can see that in just 2 years you're going to be this, so you got to get out of the way. They sabotage colleagues to the extreme of physical, like lying in a way that is provably that thing. Evidence of evidently sabotage. Look at what the woman at YouTube is doing to me. Well, a similar thing was done to me when I was working at MTN. And they also sabotage using magic because I get it, Africans love witchcraft. Africans love sorcery. So they sabotage with spirits and then they also just physically lie about you. They bear false witness. They rip a carpet from underneath your feet. They make out of good South Africans Daniel in the lion's den. And if the structures in an organization that have been put in place in order to eradicate this level, these crazy, incendiary, unfair and unsavory business practices on the part of staff, if at all your countrymen with this level of insanity, if at all there are not figures of authority, structures that have been placed above you that will correct the folly of these little children on the playground that are fighting each other to the death, if there's nobody breaking up that fight, if there isn't a parent figure or a teacher figure coming to discipline some children playing dirty on the school playground and evidently take the side of the innocent child while disciplining the wrong one that has been bullying the innocent child, if there is no evidence of possibility for recourse by innocent victims that can be spotted in their bosses, their superiors, and their mediating forces like HR, there's no justice on that day. The scales are unequal. And if people cannot get justice for bad doing, and if fights don't get broken up by bad doers, it's giving vigilantism and it's giving just a system falling apart from within itself. And that's what happened when I was at MTN. I was bullied by colleagues and I was ignored by our superiors and our mediating forces. I was bullied by colleagues and our bosses gazed at this activity and did nothing about it. I lost my job because no one stood for me, even though I was obviously innocent. It was clear broad daylight sabotage. So if corporate South Africa are the Hunger Games, my darlings, if may the odds be truly in your favor and if may the best man win, winner takes all, that's how a country dies. If your countrymen are made to go into an arena and fight to the death, an amphitheater, and fight to the death, and there's nobody stopping this barbaric activity, your nation at some point falls apart. Because what is it going to do without its own countrymen? And why are South Africans so intimidated by foreigners to a point of treating them like trash even when they're documented? It's because among each other, they're butting these heads. Our authority structures do nothing about it. And foreigners take a lot more trash in their stride because they're foreigners. And because of their resilience, they're then bullied to the extreme of having their countries repatriate them to the government. Like what's happening in South Africa today. You're falling apart brick by brick. You're falling apart. Everything is hinged upon something else. We get it. South Africans are unemployed because South Africans are sabotaging South Africans. And our government is corrupt, and our leaders in our corporates are corrupt. And so they stay unemployed. And then there are crazy whites deliberately facilitating the maintained status of our severe, abysmal unemployment statistics by keeping black people that have got only a small little tiny sliver of a gap in their CV out of the market for even longer if they've got anything to do with it, if they can help it along. We've got crazy whites out here literally exacerbating the unemployment statistics of the country when they can do something about it, because they're living in a silo thinking that this is their country, everybody else is just living in it, or this is black people, this country belongs to black people and everybody else is just living in it. And so because of feeling bitter, thanks to that, You then do nothing for your own country that you can't even leave because of your double boob. You can't even leave it. You don't want to. You love it enough to stay, but you don't love it enough to save it. You love it enough to stay, but you would rather drown in the Indian Ocean as it is being engulfed by tsunami waves, thanks to the earthquakes inspired by the seismic activity of employees fighting each other to the death in corporates. And now that there is an earthquake engulfing the country whole with a tsunami at the sea, you would much rather drown in it with your double boob, white people. And the same thing also goes with Indians. That's how a country falls. Looking back at it, and it's now unrecognizable, to a point where, after 11 years going on 12, of Karabo suffocating and drowning and gurgling blood on the floor, left for dead, I finally got out because God gave me a way out. However, in the run-up to it, looked like I was obviously gonna die. It looked like I was obviously gonna die. And everybody that saw this thing was gonna let it happen. Everybody that saw the life force about to exit my lungs was going to let it happen. When that is your nation, my darlings, goodbye. It's giving Hasmonean dynasty. You're not supposed to be kings. You're not supposed to be judges, jurors, and executioners. Only one of the three. But you've made yourselves that. You're not supposed to be both kings and priests. But look at you make yourselves that thing. And so therefore, after succeeding to get out of apartheid successfully, look at you out here be corrupted. The very same people that fought in the struggle for the nation have destroyed it. We have no electricity. Just 2 days ago, we had 2 days of power. And so even though we've got solar panels, when there is no electricity for an extended period of time over here, we also are in the darkness. So I felt it and I was like, listen, South Africa, stuff like this, right? Stuff like this. These here are your issues. After apartheid, we don't have electricity. How's that even a thing? After apartheid, our roads are worse. How's that even a thing? After apartheid, our infrastructure is falling apart. How's that even a thing? We're supposed to be liberated people with better infrastructure, because now everybody in the country has got equal opportunity. So if at all white people build the country to what it looked like in the days of apartheid, if their material resources used our physical resources to build the country, how much more opportunity then ought there be if all of us can have financial resources right next to manpower to build our own little cities and be little dynasties in our own right? How many of us could be kings and queens today if at all truly South Africa was a rainbow nation that exploited its fertile ground, its fertile land, and its vast skills? It's perfectly placed, positioned on the map, such that we've got beautiful winters and beautiful summers, beautiful springs, beautiful autumns. We barely have really terrible weather that engulfs people whole. We don't get hurricanes, we don't get tornadoes, we don't get earthquakes. We're right by the ocean, but we have never seen a tsunami. And we've got beautiful fruit, mangoes the size of your head in Guyana. What are we gonna do with the fact that you don't care about all of that? With the fact that you've got enough farmable land to feed half of Africa? What are we gonna do about the fact that you're not exploiting that? What? Everybody is so corrupt, busy trying to pocket the small little money that we must use to invest in rebuilding our country, that they can't even look at how they can build the country. They're not even looking at how they can build the country, and so therefore have enough resources to be billionaires in everybody's own right. But you can't be a billionaire at the expense of everyone in Deep Sluit, okay? Or everyone living in those crazy hijacked buildings in downtown Joburg, when every single occupant of those buildings can be an entrepreneur in their own right, very comfortable. You can't, for the life of you, make yourself a billionaire at the expense of your own countrymen, having historically, unfortunately, weirdo of a nut job, completely forgotten that you come from a time when no one would let you, even though you're really gifted, be smart. And now that you can be smart, you refuse to let everybody else show how clever they are. Clever. Listen, I apologize. The other day I came to find out that the word clever is apparently a C1 level word. I don't think so, because in my country it was just thrown around easily in the early education system as frankly a lighthearted kind of boring word to describe intelligent. So rather say intelligent instead of clever, because clever is kind of boring. But there are countries in this world that think that clever is a big word. They think it's a big word. Well, I mean South Africans. That's why your politicians have got such bombastic words on their tongues. They've got really good big C1, C2 level English. And yet, with all that capacity to learn new vocabulary, they nonetheless have done the most dumb thing and thrown the country away. Your very eloquent politicians are dumb enough to throw the country away. So who cares that you've got bombastic words on your tongue to a point where we think the word clever is not really C1 or even C2, but rather more like A1 or A2. But apparently the word that's A2 or A1 is smart. Okay, the word clever is dull to me, but according in the South African education system, it was advised that when we're writing essays, in order to sound better, try not to use words like great, because we were told by our teachers that, listen, great means big. So you can't say that, how are you doing? I'm great. No. You're not great, because on that day you're saying you're big, you're enormous. Say you're doing fantastically, you're stellar. That's how we were taught. We're taught to stop saying words like nice, but awesome, spectacular from very early on. I guess that's why South Africa qualifies as one of the countries that can teach English. So we've got capacity to teach really good curriculums in this country and make for excellent orators. But you just choose to make our kids pass with 30%. Why? Why under heaven is that a thing when apparently, allegedly, the word clever is more C1 to C2 than it is rightly gauged by South Africans as a rather quite rudimentary, elementary, starting phase. That's what my 2-year-old child will say when they start to say, Mama, I feel like I'm very clever. Because they know that they're smart now. Because they were able to put a round hole in a round peg in a round hole. And so now they say, Mommy, I'm clever. But apparently that's like causing a child to say, Mommy, I can do trigonometry. And you're like, yo, I've got like an Einstein child. I mean, the word trigonometry is evidently a C1 word. Or maybe C2. But clever is apparently C1. I don't know who made that decision, but in my country, our children be out just saying it in the cot. But you're passing them with 30%. I don't know what's happened. I don't know. You threw away your country, and now I'm gonna leave you. But these here are my olive branches that I'm giving you from a different country. I'm only gonna post my content after a whole year, because I have got to come from a different country. I'm not going back on my word. And neither am I gonna let myself be paraded in front of nasty, monstrous men. I need a break from witchcraft. I need a break from everybody trying to surveil me. I need a break from people trying to strategize using my words. I need a break from the witchy disposition that is as frequently occurring as the schwa sound in the English language. I need a break from all that witchcraft. You and your schwa sorcery. Everything be out to sounding like umbrella. And I guess I'll see you later. Yeah, schwa. It sounds like, no more. Okay, South Africa. I'm going to enjoy being who I am, okay? And I'm going to love my husband. I don't know who he is, but right now, I just need to get out of the country. I don't need, listen. I need to get the step in. I don't know how God is going to organize all that stuff. Listen, I can say, I might even be already with a guy. When I do go to Korea, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe one of my students is my husband. Herein lies a business entrepreneur, chilling in a different country, trying to learn how to speak in his field. And I'm teaching him business English. And he's like, oh, but you're so lovely. And then we get to talk and he discovers that I'm a Christian and he's a Christian. He loves God. And then I just keep teaching him, but this time for free. I don't know. Maybe my husband is one of my students. Maybe my husband, I don't know. I'm not even going to try and speculate all that. But one thing that I know is that I'm going back to school to get my degree. And I'm going to Korea to teach there and continue to try and build businesses. And I'm going to finally get my YouTube channel successful wherever I'm going. And if you want to say sorry to me, South Africa, okay, whatever, say it. If you want to say sorry to me, say it. But understand that you're going to be saying sorry to me from a vantage point where I've already left you. And because I'm a Christian, I must forgive you 70 times, 7 times. But I don't have to stay. Build your country back. Stop harassing foreigners. Give your people jobs and they will stop being intimidated by foreigners. And then teach your people how to work. And then as the people of the country, stop sabotaging each other. So that when then you do have jobs, nobody's kicking you out of those jobs through witchcraft and ascertaining that you never get another one again. Stop blocking people's prospects of working again. Stop allowing your graduates from universities to writhe, sitting around in the gases unable to get work. Some of the people that ended up in Korea were unemployed for years after getting their degrees. Graduates, unable to work. And now they're successful in foreign countries. You're literally giving your own countrymen away to other nations where they do so much better and pay taxes over there. Stop letting your university graduates writhe at home with no jobs until they end up navigating cars out of a parking lot because you've got it in you to hire them. There's more than enough land, farmable land, tillable land, workable land in this country to build more businesses. So stop denying your people ability to work those lands, those fields, make their own wealth, and stop taking away their electricity. Start to build national infrastructure. Start to rebuild electrical infrastructure because you can do it, South Africa. I know you can. Why? Because in my studies of South Korea, I found out that after coming out of war with Japan and America helping them along, it took just a mere generation in our lifetime for them to be what they are today, having come from essentially just the remnants or the effects or the tinnitus in their ear, the ringing of explosions. They had just come out of that, and with dust and soot on their cheeks, they built their country. And in just a single lifetime. Look at it today. Therefore, whatever's going on with the electrical grid. Yesterday, I went on Takealot to see if I can't buy a power bank that's got a 3-point plug in it and a 2-pin plug in it, lest we should endure the same power cut. 2 days that we endured, and then I'm sitting in the dark even though we've got solar panels because they were not charged by Eskom. If South Africans have to out here jump through hoops to build such structures as these little plug points that they can charge like a power bank, this time however to heat your electric blanket during a 4-hour long power cut, getting solar panels on roofs when they didn't necessarily have to, when developers are developing new properties with solar panels on them because you're not providing electricity to the country, you've got a problem, don't you see? You're in danger. In the days of apartheid, were you not the ones supplying electricity to surrounding nations? And yet look at what you're doing today, robbing us of it. We should not have to find alternative strategies for power as regular lay citizens here in South Africa, on the ground. Oh, I'm gonna buy a power bank, but this time for a 3-point plug. I shouldn't even have to look for something like that on Takealot. I'm living in the nation that supplied electricity to foreign countries in apartheid. Why am I looking for that crazy power bank that's not only going to charge my phone, that's not a power bank for a mere cell phone device, but a whole electric blanket, or a whole fan, or a whole TV, or a whole fridge. Why? Why? If Korea could build their country after recuperating from a bomb to what it is in just one lifetime, and if Rwanda, in just one lifetime, they even are better than Korea. Rwanda, after the Rwandan genocide and the country was left in what state it was then, in just these mere 30 years, if it can have clean streets and out to give other African countries a run for their money, it says that in just 10 years, South Africa, you can fix the electrical infrastructure. Because it's only one little project. It's not like building a whole entire country after a war, I.E. South Korea. It's not like building a whole entire country after a war, I.E. Rwanda. It's building in a stable country that does not yet have war. But I mean, are you not making war with all of Africa? With all of your xenophobic attacks of their citizens? You're not coming out of war even though you deserve it. You are in a state of peace. Therefore, since your country is in a state of peace, you can very quickly and easily build electrical infrastructure properly. You did it prior to the World Cup when you won the bid. You showed that you can build new roads in a very short space of time. You built the Gau train in record time. So frankly, you've got it in you to have really high quality public infrastructure. Frankly, it's why all these foreigners that come from foreign countries, from other countries and parts of Africa, love South Africa. It's because of our infrastructure. We are Africa's most industrialized economy. But you're falling apart, aren't you? You're regressing. You're receding like a hairline on somebody that's got alopecia. You're receding. But if South Korea could build from just coming out of war, their country, and Rwanda could build coming out of war, their country. One, it was just 30 years. The other one, it's been about a lifetime. And with South Africa, none of us are in war. We're in peace. You can build electrical infrastructure in this country, seeing as you showed that you can build fast. If you've got pressure to have delivered something by, what do you call this, a certain date, you can build our towers again and give us electricity 24 hours a day. Perhaps maybe even in 3 years, if enough corruption within you is just dissolved, like styrofoam in some acetone. If you dissolve your corruption like that, yeah, maybe, just maybe, something can be done for you. I only know that styrofoam can melt in acetone because I once watched Mike Winger do it live in front of everybody. If at all your corruption melts like that, maybe you have a shot. Other countries have shown you it can be done. The issue here is that you're holding on to power and you're corrupt. You won't let South Africans thrive. And South Africans are so crazy that they're persecuting each other. And now they're killing foreigners. Are you not ashamed that another nation is repatriating their citizens? Because you keep slapping them and killing them and burning them. Aren't you ashamed? Aren't you ashamed that Ghana had to organize repatriation for their citizens? Aren't you ashamed that Nigeria did the same thing? Aren't you ashamed? No, listen, aren't you ashamed? A lot of countries that repatriate their citizens, it's because some virus has broken out in some region of the world and they want their citizens back home. They want to quarantine them, they want to protect them. Or war has broken out in a certain country and they want their citizens back, and so they get repatriated. Like Americans in the Ukraine or whatever. You are getting people repatriating their citizens because you keep on abusing them for working harder than you in your country. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? I used to have friends that were foreign in this country. I wonder what they're doing today. I wonder. Some of them were citizens, although they were originally from Congo. I just wonder if they're still here. Are they scared? I really wonder. What have you done? Like, I don't know. I don't know. What do your corporates look like? Do they not have skeleton staff? Because there's barely anybody there still working. Are they still bustling? During the project, during the preparation for the Soccer World Cup 2010, I used to covet working in these projects that were building like the Gau train, because already at that stage I was a project manager, but I was quite entry level. And I was working, I was a project manager. Was I in 2010? Or was I about to get promoted? Was I working among project managers? Listen, I used to apply for project management work, and I remember coveting project managers and program managers, build project managers that were working projects like the Gau train. I was like, oh, that's such good experience. I was like, oh, that is such good experience. And if a young woman in her early to mid 20s can out here thoroughly envisage it as a feasibility for her to be a build project manager for such a massive project as building the Gau train and getting it ready for 2010 World Cup. If I could fathom that, it says that I was given opportunities to thoroughly be within a position to grasp it. It was within my reach. Now it's like such a distant memory. I sometimes, when I was busy applying for jobs to try and get back in the job market in this country, I would go into work recruitment sites and thoroughly see it as a far distant, a viability for me to work an intermediary, never mind senior, project management job, when at some point I was a program manager. But because I have been disenfranchised and robbed of so many years of work experience, I had to drop my credentials down to intermediary, maybe even junior PM, just so I can bump myself back up again. You pride yourselves in taking people back when they had already made ground? Why was it such a far distant possibility for me to ever get a job as an intermediary project manager in this country when I used to be a program manager? Why won't anybody hire me? Well, white recruitment agents won't even look at me with this gap in my CV. And then black people are keeping me out of work because they don't want me being okay. Your country is bleeding. You don't even have the wisdom of Alexander the Great to at least give yourselves 400 years of success, because Alexander the Great allowed people to worship freely, foreigners to live at ease in his kingdom, and he maintained Hellenism to a point of Jews being out here seduced to in themselves get Hellenized even though nobody was pressuring them. You didn't even have wisdom to entice people to, with stealth, enter your cults, join your ancestral worship, all that which makes you unseemly. You did not even have the wisdom to make yourselves look so awesome that people will see where your cults are coming from. Instead, you tried to coerce them to join your fake little religions until people felt suffocated by how evil you are with your rituals. And then, of course, your absolute disregard of Christians wanting to be Christians. Your comprehensive disrespect of the fact that we wanted to be God's servants and didn't want to be ritualists and do whatever it took in this assorted capacity to get ahead. You ignored our constitutional rights and said, Uzo Tagata, or else. You will bewitch or else. You did that. So on that day, you made like Diocletian. I spoke about who he was earlier. You made like Galerius or Galerium. Spoke about him earlier. You made like the Hasmonean dynasty, taking authority when it doesn't belong to you. You made like Nero. You made like the Seleucids. You made like Antiochus Epiphanes and sacrificed a whole chunky, gargantuan, ugly, menacing pig on God's temple, defiling it forever. You forced your religion down our throats. And so ultimately you were taken over by the Roman Empire. You try to shove ancestral worship and all your trash on South Africans that wanted Jesus. Thank God. Look at what you did to me for years until I had to leave. And God showed me how in the world I'm going to do it. Make money, pay off your debts, get your degree, teach in Korea, and stay there until further notice. Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't I try to leave? When Antiochus Epiphanes, you're trying to place yourself in my temple, which is my body, because it is a temple of the Holy Spirit, as a most disgusting ritualist, taking a Christian wife, though you are a Satanist. Again, listen to this. By force, because apparently she has nothing else to do with herself. You made me flee 3 ministries, and now I'm in my 4th one from a different country. Look how far I had to go just to get a YouTube channel. You think you can crack a whip everywhere I go in the world, but you don't have that kind of reach. Just that I had to leave the country and finally get mine. It says that you're the Seleucids, you're the Hasmonean dynasty. You are Diocletian and Antiochus Epiphanes in one fell swoop. You lack the wisdom of Nebuchadnezzar. You lack the wisdom of Cyrus, of Xerxes. You lack the wisdom of this guy, great, Alexander the Great. You lack the wisdom of kings that were well respected by everyone, even that they conquered, because they gave people freedom insofar as you will respect my country and what we do over here to be who you are. Just don't step on my Greek toes as a Jew. Then we're going to be cool. You lacked the wisdom of such men and women, well, men in this instance, as those. You lacked their wisdom. And so because you lacked their wisdom and you're coercive, you're going to get eviscerated like the Assyrian Empire. You ruled by fear, by tyranny, by force. You ruled with an iron fist. And that stuff, you ruled by the iron fist. The Assyrian Empire hated foreigners. The Assyrian Empire forced their agenda on everybody. And the Assyrian Empire, well, they did maintain their own national identity, I will give them that much. But it was a most violent one. But in spite of maintaining their national identity and not disrespecting it, not trampling on it, they, however, hated foreigners, badly treated them, killed them, impaled their heads, and displayed their flayed skins in public society for all to see as a warning. If you do dirty to our kingdom, this is what's going to happen to you. And then, of course, after hating foreigners, they then had no regard for anybody's religion, nobody's freedom to be who they are in their own, what they identified as. Culturally, they had no regard for other people's cultures. And what happened to the Assyrians? They fell. Like every other kingdom that finally falls because they let go of basic principles, right? The Assyrians also did not necessarily take care of their own people because they kept threatening their own people with death. They ruled them with fear. They caused them to live in fear, because you don't stand against a kingdom or a king and pretty much, stand on your rights that can impale your head at the city gates. So even Assyrians were scared of the regime there. So they didn't take care of their own people. They had no regard for foreigners, and they had no regard for the religion, the faith, and what they held to of the foreigners insofar as they honored the Assyrian Empire. So they fell. And when they fell, what happens when such a tyrannical regime falls? When they fell, everybody was relieved, happy, everybody was reprieved, everybody was happy, and every kings of that season, when then they came into power, they used them as an example of what not to be, so that you can maintain loyalty of your subjects. Nebuchadnezzar learned a strong lesson from the Assyrian Empire, and he was therefore prospered by God, until of course he perched himself on a roof and said, oh, look at me, I've done it all. And then God made him eat grass for 7 years. But when he came back, He was like, the nations of this world are accounted as nothing before God. No one can say to him, what have you done? If at all you are Assyria, my darlings, you will be a sight for sore eyes by everybody, for everybody around you, encircling you. And you will also function as what not to do, how not to be, how not to act for everyone else. If people in other parts of Africa are out here doing YouTube videos saying South Africa better not need Africa again, Lebelwe Bampare, you are like the Assyrian Empire. When you fall and when you crash and when you burn, you are going to be laughed at. You're going to be jeered at by the rest of Africa. And they're going to say, ha, look at you now. What you got to say for yourself now that nobody's coming for you? Look at you, abandoned on the street as when no one comes through for you, because are you not now at enmity even with America? You're at enmity with all of Africa. Who you got? China? Sure, fine. Russia? They're at war. Sure, fine. One is in the east, one is in the west. They're really far away. They can't come for you. When the rest of Africa is laughing at you, gurgling blood down here in these streets. I mean, look at what China is doing or lack thereof for Iran. Nothing. And they're much closer to Iran than they are to you. And look also at what Russia is doing for or lack thereof for Iran. Nothing. And yet again, they're much closer to Iran than they are to you. You're at this most southern hemispheric, like a lower point of Africa. You're so far away. And when you fall apart, your little allies, China and Russia, are just not going to come through for you, because if they come through for Iran, no. Are Africans going to come through for you? Why would I? Did you not cause our presidents to repatriate us to our countries? Why would I? Who do you have, South Africa? Your citizens, I mean, listen, where am I? In Korea. And I ain't coming back. Your citizens, oh, they're wearing like double boob creating bras. They can't even take care of themselves. They can't even, they drooling so much and so hard and gurgling blood, but some jogos so bad that they can only take care of their own selves, their own little unique selves. And I mean, if people are so individualistically focused in a country that used to be rich and rife with Ubuntu, if they're so inward focused to a point of struggling to do anything else that makes sense, when then they're falling apart and nobody else is coming for them, understand these very white people that love the country enough to stay because they see that it's got great potential. If push comes to shove, they will go to Australia, they will leave. And they will easily go because they've got enough money to quickly repatriate themselves anywhere else. And Indians, again, they've got generational wealth. They will quickly go somewhere else. Anyone with money will quickly go somewhere else, and everybody else will be endured through a civil war. And when then you are out here gurgling blood as the third world country that you have insisted to stay as, though by now you should be first world, South Africa, no one is coming for you. And your own citizens will be too fed up with you that are in the diaspora to come back to help you rebuild. I am tired, though I was a patriot. I am so South African that I've never even left the borders, but this is not of choice. I would have loved to travel, but you made sure that I can't do that. I love the country enough to refuse to live anywhere else. If I was to go anywhere else, it was only going to be on holiday. But now I can't fathom staying here for the rest of my days. And this here sabotage of your countrymen is by countrymen, and even to the extreme of immediate family members. You are hurting each other from inside your own camps. And so when you are out here looking snootishly as a white woman at black defeatist, like as black defeatist litter throwers at Durban Beach, and you look at them perched on a roof like you're altogether different from them, and there's nothing you can do for them, being in a completely different, very spotless part of the country, you are part of a problem. You don't realize even why it is that black people can easily litter their beaches and defecate where they eat like that. Who has made them this here disregardful of their living space? How are you going to start taking care of your living space when you can't even get food? How? When your graduate daughter that you sent to university by working a horrible job, day and night, 3 jobs, and they can't get a job, they can't get an interview. When you are that thing, when you go to Durban Beach to swim and let stress fall off your body, you will eat a tangerine and leave the peels on the floor next to your towel until those orange peels add up to thousands of people at the beach. And now it's giving Coca-Cola cans, this, that, and the other, but everybody's daughter is a graduate over there without an opportunity to work a proper job. They don't have time to make sure that they don't litter their country. Because, listen, I'm suffering. Poor people can clean houses until they look like heaven, but their own homes are dirty. It's only because they're poor. Stop leaving your people in poverty and you will see downtown Johannesburg shine again, gleam again. Stop mistreating South Africans, and they will finally go all the way downstairs to throw away their trash when they live in a sky-rise building. They won't let themselves. If you will fix their elevators so they don't have to use stairs to go downstairs, they will use the dustbins over there allocated, and they will go all the way downstairs, open a trash can, throw the bin, throw the trash in there, go upstairs, press the lift, go to the lobby at the bottom over there, press the lift, go to the 11th floor and go in their house. They will take all that energy, because when you live in such a clean complex as the one that you're living in, it's just a travesty for you to throw litter all the way from the 11th floor back downstairs where all the trash is at and trust the municipality to collect it once a week. It's going to be a travesty for anybody living in cleanliness is next to godliness type heavenly apartment building that is so clean that you're even scared to walk outside, never mind indoors. With your socks, never mind with your shoes. The way you feel so grubby in comparison to your building. Yeah, in Asia, don't nobody be out here walking with shoes indoors. But you get my point? When your building is so clean, when your building is that clean, you will be scared to litter in it.